I am.
Hey everyone, this is Jim Grisanzio from the Oracle Groundbreakers team, and we are in Hyderabad, India, and this is at the Sangam 19 conference, and I'm here with Simerjeet Singh. Simerjeet, welcome.
Thank you, Jim. It's a pleasure to be here.
Simerjeet, you were the keynote speaker just a few minutes ago. In the room, there were 600 or 700 people in there, full room, and you talked about how to thrive in a stressful and ever-changing world. Excuse me. Thank you. There's hundreds of people around here, so it's just the reality. Exactly, you have to be very flexible. Because actually I lost my camera one time. Actually in Dubai, someone hit the camera and flopped over and broke. $5,000 gone. Simerjeet Singh, you were the keynote speaker here. So let's get started again. And you talked about how to thrive in an ever-changing world. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I was really fascinated by is, as a keynote speaker, it's very hard to hold an audience, right? But you held this audience and you got people involved physically. People were up, they were dancing, we were doing exercises, we were meeting people. Talk a little bit about that technique as a keynote speak. You know, how do you actually engage people?
I think over the years I've come to this belief that, fine, intellectual engagement is great and you can have great logic and great inspiring things and stories to tell. But especially in a long 2-day conference like something like this, people need to, if the state of the mind, which is connected to how you carry your body, if you've been sitting there for too long and if you don't make them move around or interact or break their ice or change that vibration, change that energy, so to say, you don't get very good results. You have partial engagement, you have engagement at a surface level. So these techniques are just to get to break the ice, to get people comfortable, to give the signal that, hey, it's okay to be relaxed and it's okay to open up and it's okay to share and it's a casual setting, it's a conversation. It's not a something I will do to you exercise, it's something we'll do together exercise. We have fun as we do it. And that's basically, getting the learning spirit up and running once again. As kids, we enjoyed hands-on stuff more and stuff that was fun more than just listening to someone else. So that's the whole idea behind that.
Well, it was very interesting. One of the exercises that he had us do is we had to meet people. Like we had a timer, just like 1 minute or so. We had to meet as many people as we could. But what I noticed about this, and I was observing not only myself but others as well, as you're meeting, you're forcing yourself, almost like speed meeting, right? Mm-hmm. You're having these little micro conversations with people. Hi, I'm from Jim. Well, actually, I'm from New York. Oh, you were from New York too. Right. All of a sudden, you're connecting with people. Yeah. Exactly, and it took place immediately, just like that. Right. This seemed to be a theme of your talk, is having people connect, because the world is changing constantly, and I'm just wondering, how many people embrace this message of change? Because I find some people do, but a lot of people don't.
I think when it comes to connection, the first step is finding common ground. And through an activity, if you're able to facilitate that, let's say during the 60 seconds of the exercise, you were able to find common ground with 6-10 other people. You bump into them during the rest of the conference again, you instantly have a conversation starter, if I may call it, and that really helps, because otherwise it's a huge opportunity wasted if 600 or 800 people gathered under the same roof and 600 ideas were not exchanged. Then they go back poorer because they did not initiate a conversation. So I feel every conference organizer, everyone who's putting together a conference, should pay attention to this, to create a safe space where people can open up, network, and take away something credible, not only from the people on the stage, the presenters and the speakers, but also from each other. Because there's so much peer-to-peer learning happening, so much of wealth of information with people sitting around them. We need to do away with the system of just spectators, and we need to get them involved, and I think the results would be far, far better.
It's interesting. You also spoke a lot about entrepreneurialism and thriving in the world, and you're an entrepreneur yourself, and you had a very interesting story about changing careers and embracing risk. So tell me a little bit about that.
So my story, my transformation was triggered by boredom. And that's what we talked about today in today's program as well. Once you master a certain domain, once you think you've learned enough, you've been in that line of work long enough, and there's no new challenges, and you've started resisting change, boredom kicks in. Boredom kicks in and you do all sort of stuff that you resent later. So I was lucky to be able to pinpoint that at 28 at the peak of my hospitality career and say, it's not fulfilling me anymore, it's not challenging me anymore, there must be something more that I can do. And I think that sort of quest led me to different answers. And to finally, in 2007, when I quit my job and I moved back to India and I reinvented this whole thing, I pressed a reset button on my every aspect of my life, my physical, what diet I'm on, what do I eat, my exercise, my skill level, sort of everything radically changed. And I had no clue about this new line of work that I stepped into. But I'm happy to say, over the last 12 years, I was able to acquire all those skills, and it's been a wonderful learning journey for myself, and I'm glad I undertook it.
Well, actually, I'm glad to hear that and I'm actually also glad I was in your keynote because we have to remain flexible out here doing this interview, and so. But that's what I wanted to capture. Actually, is the dynamic nature of this conference. There's hundreds and hundreds of people here, and they're focused on technology. Now, these people in general are used to more change than, say, maybe other professions, because things change very, very rapidly in high tech. What about other audiences that you speak to? Do they also embrace change? Are they also embracing techniques to deal with that, or are they a little bit harder to reach?
I don't think it's an option anymore to not to respond to change or to not have it on your radar. What are the new challenges coming across? I'll just touch upon what we talked about networking earlier. The real world needs to mirror the social media world. So we have a parallel virtual world which is moving faster, and there's hundreds and millions of conversations happening at the same time together. However, in the real world, we still are running with the industrial age mindset of how to go about a conference. So not only technology, but I think every industry needs to see that their real world is mirroring this bold new world of technology, of a connected world, of new and bold ideas, of humanity dreaming of going to Mars and all those sort of new exciting things that we're coming up with, because it truly is the age of innovation and ideas. If the last century belonged to manufacturing, thanks to people like Henry Ford who perfected the assembly line system, this century is about ideas and innovations. So no industry, I believe, can afford to not pay attention to what sort of new ideas are emerging and not respond to them. So as much as for technology, I mean, they are of course the initiators. They are they kickstart this process. But I think whether it's manufacturing or government or education or public policy or whatever, we all need to reinvent. It's high time, I believe.
Do you find in your travels that people who are able to focus very deeply on a topic are the ones who, so as opposed to staying on the surface and getting distracted, someone who's able to focus very deeply and go very deeply into a subject, are they more successful, or is it the people who are just frantically involved with everything?
This myth of frantic, continuous involvement, constantly keeping in touch, constantly updating,
like social media.
Social media has taken a huge toll on our collective productivity. And now here's the thing about social media. I'm not against it. I wouldn't be here standing in front of you, Jim, if it wouldn't be for social media. It's a tool, and it should remain a tool. And tools, as Emerson said, human beings should not become the tools of their tools, which is what we are becoming right now. We are the masters. Technology is the servant. We got to put it to good use and to not let it be the other way around. Deep work, I'm a big believer in that. My keynote, for example, 40 minutes on stage, almost 6 to 8 hours average of filtering out what needs to go into it and what needs to be left out, so that the thinking, the visualizing, the meditating on that singular topic, so as to remove what's not required and just focus on that singular thing. And I think for any breakthrough to happen, whether it's me as a keynote speaker or Elon Musk coming up with some grand new crazy idea, it's not until you think really deeply about it that you're able to have that aha moment. Random browsing or time spent on social media is good to start with. It gives you that sort of a network of possibilities. But there comes a time when you need to shut everything off and then focus on a few so that they see the light of the day, so that it's not just an idea anymore. Somebody needs to bring it to life. So yeah, I'm a big believer that deep work brings ideas to life.
Yeah. That's actually a technique actually that I'm studying and trying to follow, because you can't. It's the thinking is different when you go deep. The actual thinking process is different, and so I noticed that when I work with engineers a lot, they do have the ability to go very, very deeply on subjects, and they're solving hugely complex issues.
Right.
So anyway, that was very interesting to hear. The keynote was fantastic. I loved it. I took a lot of pictures. I wanted to get some time with you here, specifically out in the hallway with everybody here. There's right behind the camera. There's all these people here. Hopefully not knocking it over. So what's next with you after this?
Next for me is we run a very popular YouTube channel, and I would suggest the audience to go check it out too. It's proven as a wonderful tool. So earlier, my keynote for 800 people and all the hard work would go into it, and I would share all that information, and then it would disappear. So what we're now really actively trying to do is to break it down into smaller chunks, have bite-sized videos created out of that, and share it on YouTube. I'm very passionate about that because it helps me reach out to people that I would probably never ever see in my life. In the different parts of the world. I've had people connecting from Africa, in different parts of India, other parts of the world. So yeah, 2020 is going to be devoted to creating more quality content for our audience on YouTube, as well as interesting, engaging speaking audience, keynote engagements across the world, such as the one we had today.
Good. Well, thank you very much for coming by. Appreciate it. It was excellent time. And you guys, I'll see you back here in Hyderabad shortly for some more interviews. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye now.